Good evening, everyone. Hopefully you can see and hear us okay. This evening, I am joined by Matt Wright. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hello, very good, thank you.
Good,
It's
good,
been a while
good.
since I've been on one of these.
Has it?
I think
It feels
so.
like literally only yesterday
No, it was a
that
while,
you.
definitely a while ago.
You came on when we did like the chat roulette, didn't you?
I did the chat roulette, yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah, yeah.
terrible, that
Oh,
does.
you came on. It was like 10 minutes. Like I was like having a
Yeah.
nervous wreck, a nervous breakdown in the background because I literally had all the people queued up, ready to kind of go, and everyone was like running over and running over. So, but anyway, here we are, guys. Just let us know in the comments that you can see and hear us okay. We're not going to do too much chit chat tonight because we are going to jump straight in and talk about EFN, the return. It's back. The European Fulfilment Network. You know, some of you guys are going to be pretty excited about this. I know it was a big loss to a lot of sellers. I mean, Matthew, what was it for you? Like 30% of your business?
Yeah, EU was about 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably $500,000.
$500,000. Yeah, can't
Drop
take
line
that.
there.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't take that line down, definitely.
No.
Right. Okay. Hi, John's here. Simon's here. We've got two Simons. We've got Simon Hesse, Simon Harrell. Natalie's watching on YouTube. Just give us, if you're watching on YouTube, Mark Clazy joined us as well. Hi, Mark. Just give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Drop a comment. I'm like the worst YouTube person in the world. I always forget to ask that. But I think this is going to be quite a popular subject tonight and probably something people might have to watch back over. So if you can, just let us know. Farouk says, good evening. Hi there. Ash has joined us. So we just wait for a few more people to jump on. Owen's joined us. Hi, Owen. How are you? I didn't turn my notifications off. It'll be beeping all night unless I do that. So yeah, tonight, any questions, by the way, you guys might have, just drop them in the comments as we go along and I'll do my best to keep up with them. And we will go along with there. But what we're going to talk about tonight, like I said, is just jump back into the news that most people got the notification that if you had not already been invited to join the new EFN 2.0, that's just what I call it, not what Amazon calls it, then you would have received an email to say either you've been invited between, when did they start the beta? Was it about November?
I feel like it was November. I was just looking at before. It's officially rolling out in March. So everybody who isn't already either, I think if you're not already on the program, you're invited to join the program and you'll be live by March.
Yes, that's correct. So if you were invited to the pre-launch, then you should have received that information by now. But I'm going to give you guys a tip tonight, actually, that I think most people will be able to activate it unless you've got a really new account from now. So I'll go through that first and let you know if you can get it going. Doug's joined us. Evening, Doug. Good, loud and clear. Thank you. He was the only one to say that. Thank you. And I was still chatting away. Owen said, we spent 10 months and thousands getting our PL product back into the EU. So I'm so happy to see EFN is back. Absolutely. Yeah, good to hear that. Donna's joined us as well. Lee's watching. Matt, Kay, hello. Right. So yes, like I said, the email should have gone out. Most people should have received it last week. If you hadn't already received it, so if you didn't get an email last week that said you're going to be suitable to start selling again in Europe, we're opening it back up in March, then there's a good chance you might have been invited to the pre-launch and it might have gone into your spam or something like that. So please have a check for that, because if you, like I said, I think most people, I've spoken to quite a few people now, and even the people that got the March email have been able to go in and activate it.
Yeah.
So for anyone that does want to go ahead and do it, and you don't have to wait around until March, because I was a bit confused. On one email I saw, it said it was starting on the 1st of March. Another one I saw, it was starting on the 31st of March. It was.
Yeah, I saw that. It just says, if you go on the help pages on Amazon, because looking through these before, it just says March, doesn't give a specific date. So maybe there's a staging process, so maybe some people are starting on the 1st and then the 31st. So technically, it's still, maybe they're going to gradually enroll people rather than everybody's on in one go. I know they've been in trial stage, but in terms of enrolling people, it might be over, say, 4 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it might be like a stage kind of thing. So, but what I'll do is I will drop the link in the comments. Now, this is, and again, it will depend very much on whether you were registered for EFN beforehand or whether you were not. So, with us, we have one account that was registered and did EFN beforehand. So we didn't have to do this, but on our private label products, which was a new account less than a year ago, we did have to go ahead and do this. So it really, really does depend on what level of your account is, whether it'll work. I'm not 100% sure. But I'll drop the, I was saying that on two computers. I was going to copy it and then try and post it into a different computer. So when Matthew's talking, I'll probably I'll drop that link in a bit anyway. So what you essentially have to do is you have to enable the cross-border function into EFN. So yeah, that's essentially what you do. And then once you've done that, and if it allows you to do that, then you can go in and you can just go in through inventory, sell globally, build international listings, and then you can reconnect your EFN. It feels weird because talking about it, it was like I just remember going through the process so many times with people saying, right, disconnect your EFN, do this. And now, it never felt like we would be getting it back. And so it's good now that it's happening, and we can definitely go through that process of having people reconnect. But if you have already enabled your cross-border European Fulfilment Network function, then you should just be able to go into inventory, sell globally, build international listings, and then it will take you through to a page where it says kind of get started, which is how you connect your European Fulfilment Network offerings to Europe.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of another word. So yeah, Sean says Germany is so cheap, even if the merchant delivery with my Hermes, when I last remembered. Yeah, we'll talk about fees tonight, actually, and we did talk about this on ESA last week. Actually, Germany does seem very cheap compared to the other markets, and I still don't know why.
I can answer that question.
Ooh, okay.
Because they use fulfillment centers in the Czech Republic and Poland, which have significantly lower costs, lower wages, which is why the Germans, for example, when you used to register for Pan EU, when you registered for Germany, you had to also register for Poland and the Czech Republic. At the time, when I registered, Poland and the Czech Republic didn't exist, but the majority of my inventory went to the Czech Republic because obviously it was cheaper to fulfill it from the Czech Republic to service those parts of Germany. That's why Germany is typically cheaper than, even though geographically, distance-wise, it's as far as say Italy. It's because they use Czech Republic and Polish fulfillment centers.
There we go. I knew Matt was the right guy to have on tonight to talk about this for sure. Cindy says, hiya, really interested in hearing what you have to say, as I started selling just as Brexit was happening and I didn't get a chance to sell in Europe. And that's a really interesting thing. And I was going to bring that up first tonight. So I think, first of all, the best thing to do is essentially say what the European network, European Fulfilment Network is, because there are so many people watching this that may have never even sold in Europe. We've been selling for years, so we automatically think everybody knows what the difference between the European Fulfilment Network and PAN is. But obviously, if you think about how many new sellers have come on in the last kind of 2 years, then it's something that we probably need to expand on a little bit more. So do you want to cover that, Matthew?
So we'll go back to how it used to be, because I just want to make clear that this EFN, this relaunch is very different to how it used to be. So the golden days are still gone. Now it's a massive improvement on what we have at the moment, and it will allow you to sell, but it is not what it was. So I don't want anyone to think, oh, it's back again, because it isn't. It is back, but it's not back in the same way it was. So there's two different types of fulfillment when you're selling into the EU. So there's the EFN, which is the European Fulfilment Network. So the key distinction here is that your inventory is in the UK and it never leaves the UK. but is made available for sale by in Germany, France, Spain, Italy, wherever you choose to make it available for sale, and is shipped from the UK to the customer in that country. Now, the customer has to wait longer and you have to pay more money. But the beauty of it is you don't have any VAT obligations or any paperwork hassle, because essentially it's just an export. The other way of doing it is what's called pan-EU, where essentially it's like setting up business in Europe, and you send your goods to Europe in bulk via Amazon in like on pallets or in boxes, and then they would say store them. So then what they would do is you send them to one place, they would then send them around Europe. So you send them to France, for example, they'd send some to Germany, some to Italy, some to Spain. The major advantage of that is that you pay domestic rates. So you'd only pay the local rate from shipping it from France to France, rather than shipping it from the UK to France. And obviously by shipping it in bulk, you'd make a massive saving. So the pan-EU shipping fees were roughly comparable to the UK. They were sort of like 5% higher, whereas EFN is about 3 times the price of the UK. So whereas something would be, say, £2, EFN is probably 7 or 8 for the same items. That was the main difference between the two. The problem, obviously, with pan-EU was that you had, because you were essentially setting up business in Europe, you have to register for VAT and also additional compliance in those countries, essentially to trade from them. So basically, it kind of tended to be, if you were a smaller seller, you'd stick with EFN. If you're a bigger seller, you'd go with the pan-EU, and that's how it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing we should kind of specify at this point as well is that EFN is, depending on what you sell and how you intend to grow your business, is really a foot in the door to Europe. It's not really a permanent solution to people who grow their businesses to 7 figures and things like that. It's a good opportunity to test markets, to test products quickly without the hassle of registering for VAT. However, to qualify for EFN, you still have to sell below VAT thresholds in each one of those countries. So say, for instance, everybody hits a home run on this and all of a sudden they start selling like crazy in the German market. As soon as you hit 100,000 euros of sales in the German market, you wouldn't be able to use the EFN model anymore, and you would have to you would be able to use it, but you would need to register for VAT. And if you're going to go through that process, then it's a lot cheaper and better for margins to use the pan-EU option. So it's something. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously, a lot of people's businesses don't tend to grow as quickly in Europe as they do the UK. So even if you've managed to scale to 6 figures really, really quickly, it's unlikely that it will, grow that quickly in the EU markets, depending on what type of seller you are, obviously. So that's something just to bear in mind, that it is something that you will need to, still think about VAT registrations. But I like to see it as it's a good tester to the market, because some people don't even hit the VAT threshold. They're like, right, I found good sources of products to sell in the EU. If I can cut down my costs or my fees by a third, which is, or more than half, actually, probably on the pan-EU side of things. Some things may not work under EFN, but they do work under pan-EU because the fees are so much cheaper. So it's something that people might do for 3 months and decide, right, okay, I'm going to go for full VAT registration. So, or you get some people that are quite happy selling EFN and selling below the thresholds. And those limits are per country as well. So it's 100,000 for Germany. I think it's 100,000 for France. Not financial advice, by the way, guys. I think it's cheaper in Spain. It might be like 35 grand. Or something.
I'm not 100% on what the thresholds are these days. It's changed that much.
I do have them here. Here we go. So it's France is 35. Apologies. Germany is 100. Ireland is 35, although technically not part of the European Fulfilment Network. And Spain is 35. And what is Italy? Is 35. So actually Germany is the most generous. So, but Germany is definitely the highest,
Big one.
you know, it's the second biggest marketplace in the world. Again, something a lot of people don't realize. People naturally assume that the UK is the second biggest Amazon marketplace in the world. It's not. It's Germany. We're number 3, for sure. Couple of questions I think might have gone past they go in. So Natalie says that per annum. Yeah. So it's like the standard VAT threshold here of 85,000.
It's not though. Can I point out? It's not.
It's rolling.
It's not financially. It's 12 months rolling. Yeah. So it's from when you start to 12 months. It's not like your financial year is the 31st of March. It resets. It's 12 months in any 12-month period.
Yeah. Yes. So thank you for.
Yeah. Just want to get that. I made that. So it's a really easy mistake. When I first started back in the day, I got a penalty. I mean, they waived it in the end because I was like registering because I thought it was financial year and I didn't realize it was 12-month rolling. And I was like registering. No. Easy mistake to make.
Oh no, absolutely, because everything else is done, you know, in a calendar year, essentially. So yeah, that's a rolling 12 months. So your 12 months period, previous period. And you know, some people, you might get to 11 months, you might be close to hitting it, and you might decide to turn it off because you don't want to go through that process. That's the beauty of it. You can do that. Absolutely. So whether those figures are in euros or pounds. So the figures that I spoke about per country are in euros, not pounds. So 85,000 in the UK for pounds, and the other figures 35 for all the others. The main the 4 out the main 5 European marketplaces, and then Germany is 100,000 euros. I knew tonight was going to be a lot of questions. They are piling in. It's going to be a lot of questions tonight. Just quickly, Aftab says any video or template procedure on how to activate ESN. We do actually have one, so I will post it in the group. It might need a little bit updating, so I'll have a look at it. But actually, when we went through the process of doing it earlier, it doesn't really seem like anything's changed. Doesn't, you know, might be some slight aesthetic changes as they've, you know, changed the look of things on Seller Central. But yeah, I'll get my Matt to check it and just double check that it completely is the same. But it's a pretty easy process. You just literally go through, you activate it through Build International Listings, you select the marketplaces that you want to sell. You have to wait about 4 hours for it to reconnect and for the listings to show. But I always say, you know, Amazon is a, you know, switch it off and turn it back on system. So don't start worrying if it's not there after 4 hours. Give it an overnight and check it the next day. An overnight always fixes problems on Seller Central. That's the way I see it anyway. Okay, what percentage are we recommending adding for EFN? So do we want to challenge that one now?
There's quite a lot to go into that one, so we can do. Yeah, we'll go into that now. Okay, what I'll do is I'll get all the negatives out of the way so that it's all the bad stuff's done, and then we'll talk about all the positives, because there is a lot of negative stuff, and it's not necessarily negative. It's just you need to be aware of it so you don't get the purpose of tonight is if we give you all the bad stuff, then you're not going to get caught out and go, why am I losing 50% of my profit because Amazon's taking it in fees.
And the reason I wanted to do this tonight, I wanted to bring Matthew in on this tonight as well, you know, because I know that you're a stickler for all of this stuff, is because in all of the groups already, I have seen figures being thrown around, and knowing what we know now, those people are going to be losing money. You know, with this.
If you're working on 5% margins, I would not bother. You know, not going to happen. So there's a couple of things to note. So most importantly, people may have heard in the past I've spoke about the iOS system, the import one-stop shop. So how EFN is going to work is essentially going to be using the iOS system in combination with Amazon shipping to create the EFN. Okay. Now, there's a couple of things that you need to be aware of using the iOS system. Now, everything, no matter how expensive it is, whether it's like €1 or €2, will have VAT charged on it. There is a maximum order value that you can do on EFN, which I think is 135. Is that pounds or euros? Let me get my figures just so I'm correct.
I will double check that.
Pounds.
It's
135 euros or 122 pounds. It's the most expensive item you can send via EFN. 122 pounds is the upper limit. Okay, so anything from 0 to 122. Now, everything is going to have VAT charged on it, regardless of whether you are VAT registered or not. So that is a massive caveat for anybody who is not VAT registered. Everything you sell via EFN is going to have VAT charged on it at the country of destination's VAT rate. For example, if you send a product to France, Amazon is going to take 20% of that sale in VAT. If it's Germany, it's going to be 19. I think Spain is 22. One to watch out for is Hungary, as that is 27%. Okay, so just to be aware of that. If you're already a VAT registered seller, you'll probably have kind of worked this cost into your margin. And actually, if you're selling to Germany, you're going to be 1% better off because their VAT rate's 19%. If you're not a VAT registered seller, then you are going to have to account for potentially up to 27% of your sale price being taken by Amazon. Okay, and you can't do anything about it. They're just going to take that off you, and they're going to give you what's left. That's how this is going to work. They're going to take the VAT for you and pay it over to the relevant authorities, which is why you don't have to do any of the compliance. They're going to take that on themselves, Amazon themselves. Also, things to consider. Sorry, do you want to jump in?
No, I was just going to jump in and say, for those who didn't know what the iOS system was, it was essentially created to help facilitate goods going into, being sold in Europe. And I think it was originally put into place to kind of, was it to stop sort of Chinese?
It was just, originally, people think it was brought in for Brexit. It wasn't. It was just very well timed. It's very helpful for Brexit, but it wasn't. Basically, what it was, for example, if you were based in, well, even in the UK, everything you brought into the UK, everything you sold in the UK had VAT. When you were VAT registered seller, had VAT charged on it. So if you sold something for £5,
evade VAT.
You'd pay VAT. But the Chinese sellers, they used to have a system where if it was under £20, then you didn't pay any VAT at all. So Chinese sellers were selling all these low value goods, and people in the UK were saying, in Europe were saying, why am I paying VAT and paying my taxes to my country when Chinese sellers are not having to pay this fee at all? So that was the reason it was brought in. I'm not just singling out Chinese sellers; it's just any sellers outside of Europe.
Any sellers outside of.
But it was typically Chinese sellers who were the ones doing it. But it was for any sellers outside of Europe. So that was why it was brought in.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to answer Natalie's question because you don't see the questions on YouTube about the FBA Wizard fee calculator. Thinking of getting BuyBot Pro. Do you know if BuyBot Pro includes the European fees, and has it been updated in advance? So I spoke to Holly today. Now the guys at BuyBot Pro have, been innovative on this. They actually introduced an iOS calculator, which I think you helped them with as well, with some suggestions as well with that when this originally happened. Then when we got all excited about iOS, thinking, wow, this is going to work, and then realized it didn't work anyway, because Amazon were not accounting for the fees that people would have to pay using the iOS fulfillment. And basically people were like breaking the law because they weren't paying the VAT on, and Amazon customers were getting letters through saying you need to pay this, you need to pay that. So they had to regroup and get it to work. So they actually put that into BuyBot Pro some time ago. So that's active in BuyBot Pro, and the European fees are being updated as we speak. So it is something. I don't know if I can give a date of when it's going to be done. Holly did say that she would try and pop in tonight just to see if there was any kind of questions about it. So I don't know if she's listening in the background, if she can add any further comment. But the fees are being updated as a matter of urgency, and they do have the iOS, fee calculator on there as well, which I think is a pretty unique feature. So to answer your question, definitely. Natalie, get BuyBot Pro. That will count for all the costs. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I lost train of thought now. So back to the fees. Yeah, so we've covered the VAT element. So if you're VAT registered, it's going to have very little impact, maybe a couple of % here and there. If you're not VAT registered, it's going to have a huge impact. So you need to factor that into your margin.
Yeah, I think Oh, sorry.
Go on.
I'll jump in final time. The other thing that we just definitely wanted to clarify, because people wouldn't have dealt with this before at any point in their Amazon selling career, is that figure that you are pricing to sell your goods in any of the European countries has to be the end price the customer pays. So it has to include all fees, all EFN fees, the VAT, everything. So that's why we're talking about making sure that you're marking up your prices accordingly. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, that's correct. So we need to account for the VAT is the biggest change here. We also need to account for the higher shipping rates. So the shipping rates from the fee schedule I looked at, they vary by country. So you might want to, we can put have you got a video of how to adjust prices already for different marketplaces or not?
Yes, yeah, if not, we'll do
There
something.
should be a video, and if not, we can create one. So it's in the cell globally and build international listings. You can adjust your prices for each individual marketplace. So you need to obviously make a rough assumption. What I would go with as a safe bet is 3 times your current UK rate. If something's £2 in the UK, it's going to be at least 6 to Europe. So you want to be putting at least 3 times your shipping rate on your products to send EFN. You also might want to calculate, because you're going to get paid in euros and then that's going to be converted back to pounds. Amazon's rates are not the best. So you're potentially going to be losing 1 or 2% in currency exchanges. Now, there is obviously, if you want to, you can set up a Euro bank account with your bank or with somebody like Payoneer and have the currency paid in euros, so you don't get affected by the currency fluctuations. But I imagine at some point you're going to want to convert that back, and you're going to probably lose about 2% on that.
Yeah.
So all told, you probably want to be, and also because it's a bit more hassle, you probably want to be marking up a bit more on top just for the inconvenience of this going to Europe. So go on, you were going to say. I was going to pick a figure.
No, I wasn't. I was just going to say, I was going to mention the European wallets. So Payoneer, Wise, First, generally Wise and Payoneer, I think, are the ones that tend to be the most competitive. But guys, don't let Amazon take any more of your money. No. Sign up to a European bank account. And again, as we're doing this, I'm writing stuff down. So the things that we can just clarify for people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I would definitely start with someone like Payoneer or Wise or something, because why are you letting Amazon take another 2% of your money? It's literally, they're just taking your money for the convenience of having your money. So yeah, definitely start with someone like that. So typically, if you're VAT registered seller, you want to probably be putting about, it depends on how much value you use on your sales and your shipping rates, but typically you probably want to mark up about 15-20%. If you're non-VAT registered, it could be as high as 40% you want to be putting on top of UK prices to cover your VAT and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. I think it's going to be higher than that in terms of taking into account the EFN fee as well. Like some of them in France for a small packet, it's £5, the EFN fee, whereas it's £2.30 in the UK. So to be honest, there's 2 ways that people can do it. They can either mark it up by percentage, or you can mark it up by monetary amount. But it really does depend on the type of products that you sell. If you sell more expensive products and bigger and larger products, then percentage might work better for you. But if you are selling quite a lot of lower products, then monetary amount might be better for you.
Yes.
So in reality, I think you're looking at about a minimum of £8, possibly more for monetary amount. I think it is as high as 40% for the percentage amount. And to be honest, we've always done it at 50%, purely because it just covers everything. But as someone has already pointed out, if you put it too high, you can potentially get a lot of price warnings. Your quality. Typical Amazon, it's too high. So you might have to play around with it a little bit, but for those of you who've got Profit Protector Pro, you can obviously then reprice your products accordingly per each European market. So you'll be able to go in and reprice effectively and individually for each product after that. Build international listings, the percentage and the markup, the monetary amount is a fail-safe. It's there to protect you. So it's not necessarily saying that you're going to leave them at a maximum of 50% and, you know, just leave it at that. What it comes down to is that day where you're feeling a bit tired, you've listed 30 products, 30 products have gone into stock and they've landed at, you know, 5 to midnight, but you want to go to bed. And then all of a sudden you wake up in the morning, by the time you've had your breakfast and you've forgotten around it, it's got around to lunchtime. And then you've realized that all of your products have sold out at a loss in the European market. So that percentage or that monetary amount is a fail safe until you've got time to go into Profit Protector Pro, your individual repricer, and reprice the products individually.
Yeah, I've just seen Natalie's comment. Yeah, once it's gone, it's gone. You know, you can't cancel an FBA order. It's easier to put that 50% on and then adjust, because you can always adjust your prices individually, manually later to mark them down compared to the market. But like you say, if it's gone, it's sold at a loss, you've got that loss and that product's gone.
In reality, Matthew's absolutely right. It will be closer to 15, 20, 25% markup. But just covering your backside to ensure that all of your products, and the reason we say this is because it's happened to all of us. We've all made this mistake. And literally, I've made this mistake on about one product that sold about 30 units before it even said. Anyone remember those Moana necklaces? How well they used to sell in like Germany? Well, I sent it. You couldn't get them for love nor money, and literally we sent a big shipment in. They all sold out in Germany, and well, not all of them sold out in Germany, but a big percentage of them sold out. And I think they still made a little bit of money, but it was a loss essentially because the markup was like so good on them. So I went in, got the buy box because we were so cheap. So fail safe of it's there. The reason we're advising this is protection. Once the stock has landed, once it goes into Profit Protector Pro, then you are able to reprice it and make it more competitive, because likelihood a 50% markup on $30 it's because I'm in the US so much now. A 30 euro product is obviously 45 euros, and it might make it too expensive. So you want to you want to bring it back down and make it more competitive. So, some people just leave it on their Build International listings and just take the markups whenever they can. But obviously, still recommend repricing accordingly as per Profit Protector Pro in each individual market. Yeah,
definitely. So that kind of, I think that kind of covers the pricing, I think. And at the end of the day, this should be more profitable for you. It should be worth the extra effort. There's more effort, there's more cost, there should be more profit. That's how it works. And it's easy to do because there's no, you're going to essentially, the beauty, which you're going to come on to anyway, but the amazing thing about EFN is that you've now got access to 300 million more customers and you don't have to do anything. Amazon does it all for you. So that's an amazing benefit that we can't overlook here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't want us to oversell this, guys, because for most people on the EFN network, it's the people that are pan-EU that really can take advantage of this. But then, to be perfectly honest, pan-EU, ever since Brexit, has become a lot harder for the arbitrage world because of so much red tape. 6 individual pieces of documents you need to get your shipments over the border without the EFN network. So this is why this is so easy for people to do. And yes, PAN is more profitable. There is more opportunity in PAN. But I mean, I don't know how you feel, Matthew. I feel effectively PAN EU for arbitrage is
it's gone. We're going to come on to a few concerns that I need to make you aware of as well. So my business, we only send in wholesale products with all the correct paperwork into Europe in bulk. And in terms of the difficulty, until last week, they literally just come back online. There was no, how you send UPS boxes to the UK? There was no UPS. You had to send the boxes yourself. You had to arrange your own transport from the UK to the European Fulfilment Centre. And in addition to PAN EU, there is significant costs. My compliance costs are over £5,000 a year. So this is how good the EFN is. It costs you nothing because Amazon's doing all the compliance. Pan-EU compliance costs are easily $5,000 a year.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're so pleased that this is back, because it really does give you an opportunity. And like I said, we don't want to oversell it. Your business is not going to double overnight as soon as you switch that on, because you have to remember that there are still Europeans selling in the European market who can get things cheaper, and not every product qualifies for the EFN network as well. It has to have like a duplicate ASIN within the Europe. It has to have an ASIN within the European network. So not every single product is going to qualify. Before we move on, I want to go back and clear up some of the questions, because I don't want people to think we're ignoring them. One, we've got RE, the VAT issue with 0 VAT rated products, and will they still charge VAT on the fees? Obviously, Matthew and I are not accountants. But as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter. You'll still be charged.
I saw that question, and I did a quick look, and I can't find a definitive answer. I will have a look and get back to you. My understanding, though, is everything that enters the EU of that value range has VAT charge on it, no matter what it is.
Yeah, that would be my understanding of it. Now, because we do not have a double tax treaty rule with Europe anymore. But like I said, we will have to clarify that. We'll probably check it with Mark Hawley, I think. It's probably the best person to check with, because I'd rather get, an accountant definition on that for sure. Right. And then the other one was, how do we feel about no returns? So this is one of the caveats, isn't it?
That was what I was going to come on to. Yes, there was a massive caveat here with the EFN. So getting stuff out of the UK is super easy now. Getting it back is not. So the customer is obviously, we are not in the European Union anymore. So in Amazon land, the customer is only required to return the product to their country. So if they live in France, they will return that product to a French fulfillment center. Currently, Amazon does not offer any cross-border movement of returns. So they will not send that item back to you in the UK. You either have to find somebody in Europe so the French fulfillment center can send them to, and then they send them back to you and fill all the paperwork out, or you will have to have the item disposed of, because there is no other way of getting these returns back. I don't know if Amazon will come up with a solution in due course, or if there's one that I am unaware of already. But my understanding is currently there is no return processing by Amazon from in Europe back to the UK.
There's not currently, but I believe there is something in the works.
There must have to be, because it's a massive issue.
I remember reading about it a little while ago, and I can't remember. So I'll have to try and dig that out where I remember reading about it. But it's not like Amazon to leave something like that so open. So, I mean, at the moment, like Matt said, it's going to have to be a European fulfillment center, prep center to receive your goods back. But yeah, that's not the option. So we're cross-border out, but not in. They will not send it back in via the border. So that is something.
Just seen a Facebook comment. Sorry, I can't see who that is. I was told by Amazon today that they were sending prepaid labels to customers to return to the UK. That sounds with loads of holes in it, because remember, they're essentially leaving continents. They're leaving the EU to the UK, which means they will need customs paperwork. So unless Amazon's going to fill out all that customs paperwork, then that for shipment, that method won't work. So
and there's a
lot of things to clarify.
And you're not buying it through iOS, so it doesn't bypass that system, because you're not physically buying it. It's not transactional. So yeah, I can't see how that would work. I mean, this is going to be one of those things, guys, that we'll probably have to run it for a few months just to see how it's working out. But at the moment, it's going to have to be taken on the basis of no returns. So, and you will get potentially your returns back, but I would think the most cost-effective way of doing that is having a European prep center to receive your goods and then packaging them all up and sending them back in a bulk shipload.
That's how I do it. And to be honest, it cost me €20 a month for the shipping and the paperwork. And then I think I'm on like a €20 a month retainer for doing it. So it doesn't have to be that costly, but it's just something to be aware of that you will probably need somebody inside Europe to send it back at this current moment.
And plus, no offense to Amazon customers and nothing to do with them being European, but I wouldn't trust them to send them back anyway, to be perfectly honest. They're bound to get it wrong, but I don't know. That wasn't the solution I thought Amazon were coming up with. I thought there was something in place, but I'll have to try and dig it out and remember where it was. I think we've covered percentages, no returns. Steve says the problem with Germany is they think nothing of returning their orders and are often not very careful when opening the package, the product's packaging. It seems to be normal for them. Well, that's really weird about Germans, isn't it? I know I'm stereotyping, but they're quite meticulous people. So you would think they would be quite careful about that.
I've had quite good experience with German customers, to be honest. They tend to be. The thing is, I think they tend to pay more money, but they expect more.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I'll tell you what, no one can be worse, and I hope they're all watching tonight, than my family and the way that they open a cereal packet. They're like animals, honestly. It's like there's a way that you open a cereal box. And they rip it and they do it everywhere. So anything's a bonus on top of that for sure. So merchant selling, I think we'll come on to that a bit later. Merchant fulfilled. Or do you want?
Honestly, I would say don't bother.
Yeah,
it's a simple answer. Don't bother, because you're going to need. The iOS system enables you to send the goods, but there's still paperwork that has to be filled out. And you still have to, with if you're using raw mail, for example, you have to put it on specific iOS codes. Same with UPS is still requiring commercial invoices, even with iOS orders. The beauty of EFN through Amazon FBA is they are doing this for you. So I would not, unless you're going to do it on a mass scale and invest in setting all the processes up, I wouldn't bother. And if you're going to do that, you're probably better doing Pan EU anyway.
Paul has asked, can you claim the VAT back if you're going to France? You might need to elaborate on that, Paul. I'm not really sure the context of that.
So with iOS, there's no VAT reclaims. Obviously, so there's obviously the other way to get goods into France is to do what we would use a customs broker, which is the traditional way of doing it, where you would have a French VAT number or customs broker would act on your behalf. They would then send the goods to France. Then you'd pay French VAT, which you would then reclaim on your French VAT return, as you do in the UK, as you would in the UK.
Okay. Andrew said, I remember back a few years ago, was selling some trunky suitcases, and all of a sudden one day sold all 6 to Italy and made a total profit of a penny. Yeah, we've all had those experiences, Andrew, and that's why we're always really emphasizing to people to make sure you mark up and you build international listings. It's a security blanket. It's a fail safe, whatever you want to call it. That's why we really bang on about it. And I've got to remember to start banging on about it again, because we used to bang on about it all the time, and then we didn't need to bang on about it anymore. But now we do. So you will hear us talking about that a lot. There will be people, like I said, I've seen some, I don't want to say bad advice being given or anything like that, but I think where people have either forgotten what happened or they haven't been selling in that, they weren't selling in Europe before. People don't realize how much a markup you need as protection. You could, like I said, reprice it individually afterwards. Absolutely. But that initial fail safe has to be put in place. Otherwise, just think, you guys put so much effort into these businesses, and literally Germany's the biggest market, second biggest market in the world. It will outsell, a certain product will outsell UK. So, and they sell out quickly. And especially if you're at a ridiculous price, they're going to sell out quickly. So, There's nothing more disconcerting than that. There's nothing more demotivating, than that. So that's why we do go on about it a lot. Definitely we will get 100% clarification on the 0 rated products, because I think that might have come as a little bit of a shock, but I mean, we're not accountants, obviously, so understanding tax codes and things like that, I don't see how it could be, especially with you know, our non-relationship trading relationship essentially with the EU now. But yeah, we will wait and see.
Yeah.
We will get clarification.
Yeah, definitely.
So prepaid, we've talked about the prepaid label, right? So we have covered percentages, we've covered sort of how to switch it on a little bit, we've covered the markup, we've covered what iOS is, just a few other things. That is there anything else you want to add at this stage?
Probably what you're going to add anyway, I think. Just to be aware, obviously we are not in Europe anymore. As the time, we have traditionally been very aligned with Europe in terms of rules, regulations, and compliance. As time goes on, the UK is going to spread further and further apart from Europe, which means the things that might be allowed in the UK will not necessarily be allowed in Europe. I would strongly recommend, unless you've got a lot of experience, you do not sell any food products at all into Europe, because there's a lot more strict rules in Europe, of which we have now left. Although we still comply with a lot of those rules, time will tell whether we will continue to comply with those rules. Also, as well, you need to make sure that be aware that you may be requested to have things for like declarations of conformity. Again, to make sure just because it complies with rules in the UK doesn't mean it complies with rules in Europe, and Amazon may request that on your European listings.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, the way that I advise or want to advise people to sell moving forward is, I suppose in reality, you know, we haven't had this option. A lot of people lost 30% of their business overnight, but they made it up through selling in the UK. The way that I see this now is it's a fantastic opportunity, but I do see it as a bonus, as to, you know, adding an addition to your business. And the reason I say that is exactly, Matthew has hit the nail on the head there. If you thought that product compliance things were an issue the last sort of 12 months, as Matthew says, the more we break away from Europe, we're still within extended periods of kind of leeway now on certain things, of CE products still being allowed, CE mark products still being allowed, and things like that. Potentially, I mean, who knows what happens in the future, obviously, but what I would do, how I would do this is I would list everything. What's allowed to sell is allowed to sell. Yes, there used to be, years ago, people used to specifically source for the European marketplaces, and that will still be an option to do that. But I think naturally the way you've got to look at it is the products that you're selling, if they qualify to sell in Europe, fantastic, great, they can sell. But I certainly wouldn't be sourcing specific products to sell in Europe. Like Matthew said, food products and toys are, you know, and, you know, some topical beauty products and things like that. They're going to be, and machinery and, you know, anything that qualifies essentially for a CE European mark.
Yeah.
Now, this is something, again, I've seen a lot of people kind of asked about, is the responsible person, the pesky responsible person in EU. So we'll talk about that for a moment, because that is something that is going to rear its ugly head again.
PITA, pain in the ass. Yeah,
absolutely. And some of you guys won't even know what a responsible person is. Some of you wouldn't have had to deal with it. There was a little bit of a crossover because it sort of came in just as we were kind of leaving Europe. So it actually got to the point. I remember doing a big never mind. I think it was with you actually, Matthew.
I think it was with me.
Yeah, doing a big never mind. We discussed it. Yeah. And then about 2 weeks later, it was like, okay, we've left. Don't really need to worry about it now, because no one's going to. Well, no, I think it was in the time before iOS was released in July, and then us, once iOS was released, realizing that iOS wasn't going to work.
No.
And then after that, we were like, oh, okay, we don't need to worry about responsible person anymore because it's not going to be an issue. So what the responsible person is if you have products that are manufactured outside of the EU, so which is now the UK, America, China, any of those countries, they have to qualify for something called a CE mark. So CE mark is all the, conformity issues, checking it's safe, that type of thing. But there has to be a responsible person allocated to represent that product or that company or that brand. I think it's a product actually, to represent the product, but they are not liable for the product. So it's someone that's generally independent, and it's somebody who, might think of someone like a notaire in France, that type, or a notaire here, someone that signs off documents, that type of thing. But they're not responsible for the product. They're an independent person that if there is a problem that arises with that particular product through safety issue, compliance issue, something like that, that any person in the supply chain can go to that person and request information about the product, being, has it got a declaration of conformity? Has it been through these tests? Does it have these safety requirements? All of these different types of things. Now, that responsible person has to exist, and it has to be, they have to be located in Europe. Now, interestingly enough, this is for private label people. Amazon offer a responsible person service. So if you are offering private label products for sale, and you want the services of a responsible person because you want to sell your products that are manufactured outside of the EU in the EU, Amazon actually have a service for this, and they charge, and it's super easy, and you can just go ahead and register. Most people don't use Amazon, obviously, unless you're an Amazon seller. But yeah, it's really easy to do. But what if you are not the manufacturer of the product, which most of us are not, who sell arbitrage? We resell other people's products. Well, it's our responsibility to essentially ensure that all of the products do have a responsible person, because now we're potentially selling our products that are made outside of the EU back into the EU. And this is where the problem is potentially going to occur. So what will happen is you will start, as products start going back into the European Fulfilment Network, if the responsible person details are not logged into Seller Central, then your product could get removed, it could get suppressed. As far as I'm aware, there's no account health.
There's no issue. You just basically, you can't sell it. So
Yeah.
you basically, it's to summarize, but it's basically a point of contact essentially. So like you said, if there's a problem, there needs to be somebody. So if you're selling the product into the EU, there needs to be somebody inside the EU that they can go and say, there's a problem with this product. I need these documents or whatever. So yeah. So as a reseller, you have to find that person and add it to Seller Central. However, what I've noticed recently is a lot of these, as long as one person on the listing has done it,
Yes,
you will still be able to list on that listing. If nobody has done it, then you will not be able to list on it unless you're able to find the responsible person. Now, if you're sourcing from authorized distributors, that shouldn't be a problem. If you're buying from Tesco's, Argos, it's going to be very difficult to find that responsible person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think come January next year, it might be a requirement to put it on the packaging. I'm not sure. Again, I think I've read something. I know the UK CE mark comes into effect, which we'll move on to that one next. And that will come into effect in January 2023. So I actually got a few examples to show people what it will look like. But just going back to the responsible person, as Matthew quite rightly said, there's a dashboard within Seller Central. And I mean, all you need to do is log into Seller Central, hit the right hand corner and just put responsible person dashboard in the top right hand corner. It will take you to wherever you need to go. I mean, if you're being flagged because it hasn't got a responsible person, you'll get a notification and it will just take you there anywhere where you can fill in the details. But this is a tip that I actually gave at the time when we spoke about the responsible person at the time. So it wasn't really too much of an issue, and we weren't talking about it too much afterwards. Is if you can identify the responsible person for a certain brand or product, and you're getting product compliance requests, declaration of conformity and things like that, then you might be able to contact that person and get the information. How they and if they will supply it will really depend on your powers of persuasion, because it might only be in the case of official complaints, safety issues, medical needs requests, that type of thing. Legal requests, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm always a case of you don't ask, you don't get. So if you go in and you find the responsible person for, say, Mattel or Hasbro or Kipling, Mr. Kipling or someone like that, then and you have policy document requests on those in the future, then it's a good thing to just go into the database, have a look at the person and see if it's logged in there. And that potentially you might be able to get some of those pesky declaration of conformity, because that person should hold all of that information on that brand and that product.
Literally, if anyone who's never seen it, it literally has name of the person, their email address, and their business address on it. It's not just like Mattel somewhere. It's literally this person, John Smith, and this John Smith at Mattel.com. That's literally how detailed it is. Yeah,
absolutely. So you will have that information, and be clever with your wording. I'm a seller, distributor of these products or something like that. I just want to double check that they're safe for sale in the EU. Can you provide me a copy of the declaration of conformity? Don't ask, you don't.
Worst they're going to do is ignore you or say no.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm a big believer in that for sure.
Yeah,
Emmanuel says divergence with the EU will increase drastically as the years ahead. Absolutely. And that's why we're kind of making these warnings now, and it really does need to be something that, see this as a bonus, guys. If you were one of the people that lost 30%, if you managed to do well, like you covered your 30%, didn't you? You lost by focusing on the UK market. So if you've built that back up, and then even if you manage, this increases your business by 10%, it's a bonus. And it's something that we didn't think that we would be getting back anytime soon. So, that's the way that I see it.
I think somebody else saw a comment before said that, if a listing's tanked, well, there's a good chance it probably hasn't tanked in Germany, because a lot of people are probably buying, Argos sale, everyone goes out and buys the same stuff. That's how it is, or they're all on the same deal sheets. But people in Germany or Spain aren't necessarily on the same deal sheets or getting access to the same deals. So it could be a very good way, either to clear excess stock. And as well, we're talking about increasing your prices, but it's also a good way to increase the amount of sales. If you need more cash more quickly, well, you can sell 5 times the product by selling it on 5 marketplaces. Yeah. If your profit is not necessarily, because some people, our profit is not as important to them as growing their business, and might be a good way to gain additional revenue or increase your cash flow by selling it on 5 different marketplaces at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking at a product and, everybody in their arbitrage army have jumped on that listing, and it's gone from 2 sellers to 48 sellers overnight, and, you're looking at the market, and you can get away if you can break even through selling through Europe and not at a loss, then that's going to help you with your business anyway as well. It's going to help with overall margins. So don't just think EU is about selling for profit. It can be used to help salvage other parts within your business. It can increase margins. It can overall increase margins. I've noticed a lot of people tend to have lower margins in the arbitrage market nowadays. Well, traditionally in some of the European markets, things do sell for a lot more. So overall, that can help increase margins. And actually, what is the exchange rate at the moment? Now, we used to, when we
1.19, I think, isn't it?
Okay,
today?
So that's not too bad. It's not as good as it was.
It's gone up a lot.
Yeah, it's not as good as it was. But still, we still tend to favor, we've got still haven't got a strong pound. So actually by having a weak pound, converting the money back
really,
makes it work in our favor a lot more as well. I think when before it was like 111, 110, 112, something like that. So it definitely, the pound has strengthened a little bit more. But as I said, it's definitely not like it used to be, you know, for the European conversion rate. So while the pound is weak, it actually makes sense for us to sell, because we get more bang for our buck back into the money for sure.
Also, I was thinking on what you said, then if anyone's not, you know, if anyone's in the wholesale game, not in the arbitrage game, if you've got a supplier that says buy 500 you get one price, buy 1,000 you get a lower price, well, you can take 1,000 now because you can move a few into Europe. You know, you can, and you not so you can increase your margins that way by buying more volume and lowering your price per unit, rather than, you know, trying to go, oh, well, can only sell 200 in the UK because the sell-through rate's XYZ. Well, you've multiplied that by a factor of 5 potentially if your prices are competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Kate says this is a great never mind the buy box. Oh, thank you very much, Kate. Thanks. Appreciate that. Sean says PPP lets you set different prices with different marketplaces too. Yeah, absolutely. So you can go in and individually set the pricing within Profit Protector Pro. It's so easy. It's such an easy interface to look at. You can look at the prices individually compared to the UK market. Just love that feature on Profit Protector Pro. And, you know, we mentioned that earlier when we were talking about once you set your 50%, once you set whatever percentage that you're going to, you know, do set within Build International Listings, then that's when you go into Profit Protector Pro and change them individually once the stock has landed. So don't think you just need to set it at 50% and that's it. You can adjust your pricing afterwards to make it more competitive and potentially to stop you getting high pricing alerts as well.
Yeah. A few other things to consider as well while we're discussing this. So the beauty of Amazon, of course, it automates all this for you. So if you enable EFN, it will find any listing that it thinks is appropriate, and push it to all the different European platforms and make it live and available for sale. Now, just because Amazon thinks it's appropriate doesn't mean it is appropriate. For example, you might have a toy that has the same ASIN but only has English language on it. Well, talking about returns, that's no good, because if you've got a toy that's only in English and you're trying to sell it to a German customer, they're just going to send that straight back. Think about electronics. If you sell anything with a plug, UK plugs are not the same as EU plugs. First thing a customer's going to do when they get that radio with a UK plug is go, I can't use it, and send it back. So there is a way within the Build International Listings where you can exempt certain products from EFN so that it doesn't go live. Or if you have a lot of that kind of inventory, you might want to basically go the other way and have nothing live, and then you choose what you want to put live by manually creating the listing in the European market rather than having it go automatically. It's just a few things to consider depending on what you're selling.
I think what we'll do, Matthew, actually, is you and I will probably get together and maybe make a video. We can put it on this channel, never mind the buy box, and just showing people, you know, what
to set it up, right? Yeah,
how to set it up, because we do have guides and how we used to do it, but I think that would just be really helpful to people, because, you know, this is overall definitely want to you know, people to see this as a great opportunity. But I don't know, just the last few days when I've seen comments and groups, I'm just shuddering and thinking, oh my God, people are going to lose money here. So, you know, I feel that we've got a level of responsibility to ensure that people are as educated as possible in terms of, you know, putting the right settings in place, not setting yourself up for a fall. Because imagine you send over £100 electronic item, it's got a UK plug, you're not getting it back. It's as simple as that.
And there's nothing wrong with that product. You know, they might literally open the box and gone, oh, and put it back in the box and send it back. It's literally fine. But, you know, you've either got to go out of your way to get that product back, or, you know, or just take the loss.
Absolutely. Emmanuel says, what happens when your product is value over £122 for ESPN? For EFN, can you still do this or go pan?
So if it's over 122, it won't go on EFN. That's blanket. That's the maximum value. So if it's 123 pounds, then it won't go on European. Another thing which just occurred to me, when you're pricing your products, make sure that they are within this price bracket when you're putting your 50% on, because then they won't go at all. So make sure your maximum prices, if you do want to sell them on Europe, is up to 122. If it's over 122, you are either going to have to register for PAN yourself. You can still sell this, interestingly enough. Don't forget, you can still sell these products to customers.
Yeah, it just won't go through IOS.
They won't go through IOS, which means you've got to fill all the customs paperwork in, and you've got a customs clearer to clear it before it gets to the customer. So it's really not viable. And the only way to do that is to go PAN. But going PAN is a big undertaking. Please don't just think, oh, I'm going to go PAN, or it's going to go PAN. PAN selling, it's a big investment. It's $5,000 a year for me. It took me about 6 months to get all my VAT registrations. I had to have documents witnessed, and you have to send all sorts of information. It's a very good way of doing business, in Europe, if you are looking to do big figures, because you get all that back in your savings on your shipping alone. But it's not, please don't just think, oh, I'm bigger than EFN, I'm going to go straight for PAN. Unless you're doing sort of, I would say at least £1 million a year, I wouldn't even consider going to PAN.
Yeah, absolutely. And as just the comment has come in from Sean here, this is an account health issue. If Amazon find out that you have sent a product to an Amazon customer in Europe and they have been charged additional fees on it, that's actually an account suspension issue. You could have it against Amazon terms of service. Your account could be suspended. Now, I've got to be honest, probably the chance of it happening is quite, because the customer would have to contact Amazon and explain this, and someone at Seller Central would have to know what they're talking about and connect the dots, which is pretty unlikely. But it is against Amazon terms of service for Amazon customer to not be charged any more outside of the iOS system. So please don't do it. It's not worth it, guys. So
it's not worth the headache.
Yeah, for most people, that £122, 135 euros. There is a €150 limit on something as well, but I can't remember what that is. Whether or not that might have been.
No, I think the 150 is the inclusive of VAT price, and the 120 is the exclusive VAT price.
Right. Okay.
I think something like that.
Okay, but we have to include it
anyway. I don't know if Amazon set a lower limit just so things don't go over as well, just to make sure that they are well under.
That's a good point, actually. So 135 euros, that is where you want to be. That's where your pricing wants to be below. I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, I'm not generalizing, but I do know the majority of people that will watch this will probably sell products that are going to be below that threshold anyway. So yeah, just kind of take that into account as well. Now, obviously, the other thing you do have to take into account, again, it's occurred to me, that's why I'm glad we did this, is if you are somebody that sells small and light products and you qualify for lower fees because of small and light products, then again, that might be something you want to consider excluding, purely because it would have been sourced on the basis of cheaper fees for the small and light program. And then, of course, if it gets sent through the European Fulfilment Network, it will probably end up, you will be paying that Amazon customer.
The cheapest shipping for EFN is €4.59. So that's the cheapest, and that's for something that weighs 80 grams. It's probably will be small and light, just to be aware. That's the cheapest rate. Which
for most people is like,
probably the cost of the item, never mind the shipping.
Cost of the item, Amazon fees, and you've still got to account for VAT in that as well.
Don't forget, Amazon is still going to take their normal fee out of this as well. The fees are the same, guys, just to make that clear. There's no additional Amazon referral fee.
True.
The shipping is higher, but the actual fee, that the actual fee will not change across the European fees are all the same across all marketplaces.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to cover was actually just in the extension of that CE mark. I know we covered the responsible person side of things as well. but also just to reiterate the type of products that fall under the CE mark. If it was me, these are the products that I would probably tend to stay away from the most, purely because we are going to go through a period of change. At the moment, most products will either be in a position where they will have a CE mark on them, or they will have a CE mark and a UKCA mark, which is the new mark that it's essentially a kite mark. It's that product safety mark is what UK products are going to need to have on them. But as Matthew quite rightly said, are not going to have as stringent rules as the EU. So so looking out for products in the future, if you're coming across something and it doesn't have a CE mark on it, and you're intending to send it in, and it is connected to your European network products, or the fulfillment option, then it's a product that you shouldn't be sending into the EU as well, just to make that absolutely clear, because it won't conform to EU standards. So I've got a couple of sort of examples here to show you. I went fishing around in my daughter's bedroom. Where is it? So here we go.
Is that a UK one on there? Is it?
No, that's the CE. Okay, so this is like a aqua beads thing. So this is a CE mark. Okay, so this product actually technically shouldn't be sold in the UK. It has to display a UKCA mark from the 1st of January. So when we hit the 1st of January next year, there's going to be a whole load of new requirements and declarations and things that need to come in place. So this product will not and should not be sold if it has been produced after that period of time.
It's going to have to be some leeway. They can't, because there's so much product that's going to be sat in the country that's just going to be, it's literally, no, because that'll be an environmental disaster. Oh, what's wrong with it? It's not got CA on the box. It's just going to be.
They have to be, if you look at the rules, they have to be all off the shelves. So this is what the requirement will be moving forward. Where is it? So that is CA and the new CE and the UKCA marks. So for you guys that are doing retail arbitrage, that type of thing, if it was me moving forward, I would just get used to recognizing the type of products that have these marks on them, because these are the ones that are going to be able to be sold in the UK and also the European network as well. And but they only apply to certain types of products. I mean, this is a Care Bears box, so it's, for most of us, it's going to be toys. Food has their own type of requirements as well, and again, that's something we're going to see definitely more of over the next kind of 6 months, going into 6 months. No, we're in February this year, going into 2023. But CE marks generally affect things like I said, for most people, it's toys, electronics, PPE, machinery, any type of large appliances, watercraft products. So most of the stuff, anything that has measuring equipment as well, funnily enough, because if you think about it, we're imperial and they're metric or something, whatever way it is, whatever way it works around. So just think about, if you're selling your Pyrex jugs, that type of thing, those things could be impacted as well. So just get used to kind of recognizing those marks, because potentially we don't know actually once they are received, because what could happen, Amazon doesn't tend, and I don't know if you agree with this, Matthew, Amazon doesn't tend to allow for different marketplaces for different rules. As far as Amazon is concerned, they just have a kind of blanket rule. Yeah, they'll have a blanket rule. And I'd imagine that if you're, after January, if you're sending in products that do not have the UKCA mark on it as well, I can see them starting to get rejected.
Yeah. So I was just doing a quick Google actually on the UKCA. Sorry to interrupt. So basically, what it means is from next year, it's when it's placed on the market. So basically, when it's first sold. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it won't be illegal to resell products that are CE marked or that are already in the UK. But basically, anything that's being brought into the UK will have to be UKCA. And Amazon, like you say, is probably going to enforce UKCA. I imagine the government's probably going to, I don't know, whether they're going to have to some sort of like leeway period, but technically
We're in the leeway period.
we're in the leeway period, just to be
Yeah,
aware.
the leeway period is now. It comes to the end in January 2023. So, I mean, I don't want to bog anyone down too much with that because there's been a lot of information tonight, and there's going to be a lot of trial and error over the next couple of months with the return of the European Fulfilment Network. Anyway, we will cross the UKCA bridge when we need to. So I don't want anyone to, get bogged down with it too much. It's not going to have too much of an impact. Certainly not before, the summer or going into Q4, and definitely not categorically until we get into next year. So don't worry about it. I just like to pre-warn people because I do know that, effectively, like you say, it's not the product's going to be dead, but will Amazon accept them? So if you're buying like a pallet off a clearance person or something like that, you might not be able to sell it come January. So it's something that just I like to make people aware of.
Yeah.
In advance for sure. Hayden says evening on the wine this evening at a friend's. So we'll catch up on this. Man, if you're not watching Dragon's Den, if you're not watching The Apprentice, you're now out with your friends. No. Yes, this recording will be available, and I think it's one of those recordings that people might have to go back and refer to at some point. But like anything, of course, guys, the more everybody experiences this, the more information we will rediscover. And although in name, Amazon should have actually called it something else, because you're absolutely right at the top of this. It's not the same, and to call it the same. And that's what I was concerned about. Again, seeing in groups and seeing people just saying, oh, I'm just putting it back to what it was before. Well, it's not. It's completely different. Same in name, but it's definitely a different process.
Is there any questions we missed?
Yes, I'm going to go back over those now. Some comments, Ari, the global shipping program at eBay, which I know you'll appreciate, Matthew, just saying eBay. It's a far superior model than Amazon. And again,
I bet you it's because it's good, because it's been refined over years and years. So
yeah, and Amazon will get better at this. They will get better at these processes. It's I remember having this conversation with you, whether it was publicly or privately. I think we talked about it publicly as well, was that just being so amazed that Amazon didn't get this sorted when they knew it was coming.
Well, they knew it was coming, but nobody really knew it was going to happen until the 24th of December when they negotiated the deal and said, oh, by the way, in 4 days' time, this is what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing. It's like, but no, in Amazon, they literally just sat back and waited for it to not happen. And then they were like, oh, sorry, we can't do anything.
I do think there was, at the time, there was a bit of a, is this actually, because the thing was that if you think about it, you remember the deal thing was rolling on for so long. I think everyone kind of just thought, is it even going to happen?
Yes, that was true.
So, yeah.
But obviously we were all in COVID and we were distracted by that at the time anyway. So Brexit, when it actually happened, was not as, and please don't slay me on this, guys, it's not a political statement. I don't mean it like this. But Brexit, when it actually happened, because of what was going on with the pandemic, it just didn't seem like a big deal at the time. We were just all concerned about the pandemic. So, they kind of just slid under the radar, really. Natalie said, when I started OA in 2019, my original model was to buy Amazon UK and flip to Europe, but had to buy as non-prime or using different non-seller accounts, so as not to have the account deactivated. So yeah, that was a hugely popular model, and I imagine you will see the return of that to a certain extent. Euro flips was always, it was a huge thing that was done years and years ago. You definitely will see opportunity of that again, but whether it will return to the level that it was at, I don't know. Not sure.
I mean, just thinking back to I was just thinking UKCA marks. EFN might be even more important now. If you're getting stock that's CE marked and only CE marked, it might be your only outlet for it is Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I think that's something. Who picked up on that? Sean said wholesalers could be stuck with them, could be bargains later on the year, but you need to get them sold yourself. Two, if you're going to buy them, Q4 sounds good this year, selling older version toys before we enter 2023. But you're taking that risk and you've got hope that you sell them. Yeah, absolutely. We don't really know the impact. It's my kind of speculation, and knowing Amazon after selling on Amazon for years and knowing not how Amazon operate, but you know what I'm trying to say is that knowing the rules that are coming, I don't see how anything that doesn't have the UKCA mark on it is going to be sellable.
Yeah.
In
My thought was, because I saw the collectible comment, my thought was if it's not UKCA, it may be applicable to be sold used or collectible as the collectible or used
Yes,
conditions.
that's right. Yeah.
But I would say if it's new, by definition, you're essentially, for something to be new, you're supposed to be the first person put on the market, essentially from theoretically by authorized distribution. Therefore, it should be conforming. So it might be a case of if there is still an outlet for it, but it would have to go in the used condition rather than new.
Yeah, absolutely. That I would say that's.
But I'm just
probably.
speculating. I don't know. They might ban it altogether, or it might be an IP thing where you get claims. I don't know.
Yeah. Natalie says could be cheeky with grey non-see-through poly bags. I didn't say that. Tut 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 tut. Can't use those. Just saying. Right. Emmanuel says, is it misleading for Amazon to call it EFN? It's not really EFN, just a modified, very much tweaked version of the original. Well, yeah,
it's not really EFN at all. They should have just called it something completely different.
Yeah, that's why I always refer to it as EFN 2.0 but then it makes it sound like it's better.
Better. I said that. I was going to say 2. It should be EFN -1. Let's call it that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So 2.0 EFN -1. Sorry, there was a question here. I think it was Bao. I just want to go back and see if I've got it because it was a really good question. I think I missed it. So Bao has said, just to clarify, any products sold via EFN will require a responsible person in Europe.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct.
This is where.
So that on some listings will be, it only needs to be filled in by one person on that listing, including Amazon. So it may already be stored in the responsible person dashboard. But if you don't have that information, I don't think your product will even go live if that isn't on the listing. The listing will probably get suppressed.
Brain is working here, and I don't know if Holly is listening. I wonder if there's a way it could be identified on BuyBook Pro that if the information is logged as the responsible person or not. Because again, it's something we just didn't worry about at the time.
And to be honest, I don't think it should be something you should worry about now. I just think, again, we should treat this EFN as a bonus. If some of your product is got all the correct compliance and can be sold, that's a bonus. Don't build your business around this. It's just a bonus.
Yeah. And I don't know, with the responsible person, though, no, it's not going to affect the UK product. I can't see how it would. Just working.
No, it won't affect the UK product.
No. But when a product gets suppressed, no, because they are separate marketplaces, aren't they? So it shouldn't affect it. Someone did ask this question earlier, which is a really good question about if you get suspended in one of the European markets, does it affect the UK market? So, no.
No, I was going to say no.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like something really, really bad you get banned from all of them.
Yes.
Like if you had an IP claim that got your account suspended on France or Germany, it wouldn't affect other accounts.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
They're individual.
Yeah, it shouldn't affect it, but like Matthew says, it really does depend. The other thing this might trigger as well, that's what I was going to bring up as well. this will see the return of the French and the German VAT declaration certificate as well. So again, something we didn't have to worry about. It's not selling in Europe anymore. So when you sell through EFN and you are not VAT registered, you have to make a declaration in Germany to state that you are not VAT registered. So at some point, and I can imagine the groups, I can imagine the comments as they're coming through already, the panic when people at some point, guys, do not be surprised if one of your German or French, because I think the French do it now as well.
Yeah, they do. I think they came through last week. I had one last week.
Yeah. So, and if you do not fill it out within a certain period of time, they will suspend your account. But please don't panic. And this is as it was. I mean, it might have changed, but I don't see why it would have done. If that comes through, you're not suspended. It will say your account is deactivated, but it's a very, very quick fix. You just literally need to go in, fill out the tax declaration. I think it's like a tick. Tick the right box, and it will unsuspend you as well. So we're going to see a lot of that over the coming weeks as people start reselling back into the European markets as well. So I can't guarantee it's going to be that. If you get a suspension notice through on your phone, or if you see an email and it's not that, don't blame me. I'm just saying that if it is a suspension relating to that, it's very easy. You know, you don't even need to contact anyone. It's just a case of going and correcting it, and it should, unsuspend you. That's a great question. What if you create your own bundles? And actually, I think I did see Caitlin ask this as well. Would you be able to sell this without a responsible person? Now, that is a really, really good question. Now, I've never sold bundles, my own manufactured bundles in the EU, purely because of my products don't really translate that well into the EU, to be perfectly honest anyway. Now, the product that we're going to be selling into for the private label product, it doesn't need a CE mark, so therefore it doesn't need a responsible person. So at the end of the day, it really will depend on the products that you sell. But what I will say is most products tend to revolve around not all products revolve around food or anything like that, but it's going to have to be probably a case-by-case basis, because when you do create your own products like bundles, you are considered to be the manufacturer of that product. Where that would stand up in supply chain in terms of liability, if it was a specific product that caused an issue, we've talked about this before. Who is responsible in the supply chain for certain things? It depends what's done to that product in the supply chain as to where the liability falls. You know, if you are just a reseller of someone's product, if I sell this and if I give it to someone and, I sell it on to someone and then someone has an allergic reaction or it causes a chemical burn on them or something like that. Well, some laws, distance selling, say that because I've sold it, I'm responsible, but it doesn't really work like that, because all I've done is pass the product on. Generally, in a case like this where the product's sealed, it's got safety requirements on it and things like that, the liability would fall back to the manufacturer. But if I've taken this product out, if I've changed something about it, if I've added something to it, if I've put my own brand name on it, then technically I become the manufacturer of this product, and therefore I bear the responsibility in the supply chain for this. So it's never cut or dry with that answer. So as Matthew has said, I see this as a bonus. There will be opportunities that you will be able to create bundles and create your own opportunities, create your own listings in Europe, but we are diverging from Europe. So there are certain things that we will do here and it'll be absolutely fine that might not be suitable in Europe. But certainly for certain types of products, it will require a responsible person. It will require, it will also require UKCA marks as well. So my personal advice is is probably stick to the UK for the moment, but I know that there will be people that do go out and find opportunity in Europe as well, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Let's have a quick look. Natalie says, I'll get the BuyBot Pro with suspension safeguard just in case. Absolutely. 100% recommend that. We've seen a lot of that being used lately, actually. It's such a fantastic service. And I think people really overlook, and they talk about competing products being, you know, a little bit cheaper and things like that. But, you know, BuyBot Pro with suspension safeguard is worth its weight in gold. Think about how many product deactivations people are getting at the moment. For product safety compliance, food and safety issues. People are being asked to write plans of action. Well, with BuyBot Pro with suspension safeguard, if you've got that option, you can contact the team and they will help you. They will help you do it. They'll give you a template. They will help support get you through that particular area. So it's worth its weight in gold. Don't ever, you know, the way that I see it, just because it's the cheapest, it doesn't mean it's the best option for you. That's the way I always look at it. So definitely worth its weight in gold for sure.
Yeah.
Each seller central marketplace has a big yellow warning on the homepage requesting information for the responsible person. So I'm guessing until this filled in, we won't be able to use EFN.
Oh, yes. No, not quite. So yeah, I have that on mine. It means that basically not every item has responsible person, which is probably going to be the case for 90% of people. If you go into the dashboard, it will tell you which products have the information pre-filled in. At the minute, for me, it's about 30% of products have the responsible person pre-filled in. As EFN rolls out, I reckon that's going to increase. So hopefully that will go up with time. But unless every single one of your products in your inventory has got that responsible person filled in, it will continue with the yellow warning. So as long as you're not listing on it, don't worry about it.
And again, I can't 100% remember, but I'm pretty sure the responsible person does have to be declared publicly. So it's not like finding a declaration of conformity. You should be able to find the person relatively easily, you know, especially if you can phone up the company and ask them who is your responsible person in Europe. There's no reason why they won't give you that information.
No.
You know, it's not protected information. So as long as you are, you know, a little bit tenacious with it and can dig around a little bit, this should be information you should be able to find relatively quickly. And as Matthew quite rightly points out, it is something that only has to be filled in once. So, you know, if I get the same notification as Matthew finds it before me, then I should be able to still to continue with the product. So it's not like you know, it's not like some of the other things like hazmat and not hazmat, sorry, some of the other things where you have to supply the information even if someone else has supplied it.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you dispose of stock if stranded in the EU when the customer returns? Can't you?
Yeah, you can. You're just doing the same way, you know, you go on removal. Because what you do if it's in the EU and you try to create a removal order, it will come up with an error saying your address is not in the EU, but it will still allow you to dispose of that inventory. And also, I noticed as well, there's a new program called Grade and Resell. I'm not sure if anyone's been invited to that or seen that, which may be worthwhile. It was brought on because of all the backlash against the amount of wastage that Amazon has. So basically, there's a new program where Amazon is essentially going to grade and resell your products. Not sure on the exact details. It only came out a few weeks ago. So that might be part of this EFN and maybe something that was worth considering, where they essentially will repackage up your products and sell them as used, very good or something, instead of, you know, just saying it's unfulfillable now.
Again, you know, if you've got the disposal option, I suspect Amazon probably resell them anyway. But if you hit that option and the option there is to donate to charity,
they definitely do. I buy them.
Yes, but they don't dispose of them. But there is an option for me. Don't dispose. If the option to donate to charity is there, it costs exactly the same, and obviously it's also taxable as well if you're donating it to charity. So and it's doing some good. So never dispose, always donate if you can, if the option's there to do it. I think most people that sell grocery, are probably not going to have that issue. Manuel said, got an email from Amazon about Turkey Marketplace. Yeah, I think a few people have seen that to join FBA there. Anyone else had the same? Where does Turkey sit on the Amazon pecking order hierarchy?
Pretty low for me.
Yeah, nowhere really. I wouldn't probably.
I mean, Amazon's got its own agenda, hasn't it? But and Turkey's, if people who are going to Turkey are probably doing like a million, a couple of million in Germany, a couple million in France, a couple million in Spain. They've mastered every single marketplace.
Yeah.
Turkey's going to be last on your list unless you've got specific Turkish products.
Yeah. Until we all get back used to this again, like I said, look at it as a bonus. We've talked about that quite a lot tonight. There will be opportunities that people will uncover within different niches, sub niches, different categories, selling different types of products. The reason why Amazon translates so well to the German market, regardless of, a foreign language, is because we tend to like the same things as the Germans. And we tend to buy the same type of product. So a product that we buy here in the UK will sell just as well, and if not sell better in the German market. So that's why the German market works very well. In the French and the Spanish markets, it works well because of expats, because you have people that are UK that want to buy UK products and things like that. But Germany and UK market tends to be very close in terms of what we buy. So that's why it works very, very well. Certain markets like Turkey, some of the other markets, the products are not going to translate that well because it's very different culturally. Whereas with Germany, we're quite aligned with.
Yeah.
So unless you are sourcing specific products for that specific market, then in my opinion, I would stick to the big five. Just to reiterate, Germany best, France, Italy. Oh no,
I disagree. I put Italy before France.
No, see, I don't like Italy because everything gets lost in Italy.
That's true. Everything does get lost in Italy, yeah.
But
everything sells for more money in Italy, and the customers are nicer in Italy.
Yeah, so for me, it's Germany, France, Italy, Spain, and I'm missing one.
The Netherlands now.
Oh no, I think I was counting the UK. UK is one of the five, is it?
You sell on Amazon. There's NL as well now, which is a good solid marketplace. And I would be looking at Amazon NL. Sweden as well. I'd probably put Sweden higher than Turkey. Sweden's a new marketplace. It's just launched as well. So
Germany, France,
Poland, Amazon PL.
Yeah, Poland there. No, it must have been UK. I can't remember. It's been that long. Can't remember. But yeah, for me, I'm only really bothered about Germany and France, and we won't sell any bundles. The type of product, actually, new products that we're going to be releasing in the next couple of months, they probably would translate better than nothing food related or any type of CE mark related. So that will probably be the first time that we will sell those type of products there, but we will be doing it for the private label product anyway as well. And I'm only really going to be concentrating on France and Germany, to be perfectly honest. So Germany's one of the biggest markets for us.
If you're going to do one, do Germany.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And we're only going to use EFN as a stopgap. And, we will go down the pan EU route. We just literally filled out all of the forms. And then it came out and I was like, stop, don't submit it. Let's just do the EFN first of all. We'll get it in.
Were you going to go pan, were you? Are you going to join the club?
Yeah. And we will. It's one of those things. We just want to test the market first, just to see how good the market should definitely overtake the UK. The type of product lends well into the German market. So I actually think it could become our top market, or if not the same as the US. Whereas the UK is not great. It's all right. It's okay, but we expect German market to be bigger. So
I just want to actually touch on pan EU actually, because obviously we talked a lot about EFN, and there may be a few people who kind of sigh thinking that EFN doesn't work for them, but there is there is obviously an option with Pan EU, and if you are looking to sell big scale, it is the one to go for, and it is getting easier by the day. So it's a lot easier now. UPS is now back on board, so you can now send your products to a UK fulfillment center via UPS, and Amazon will send them to the EU at no cost. That only was reintroduced last week. Before that, you had to arrange your own shipping to the EU. Literally, you had to ring up a haulier and say, "Can you take my 3 pallets from my warehouse in the UK to Amazon in Germany?" So that's made it a lot easier. And also now there's a number of services and firms that are giving, they're doing all the paperwork for you. And Amazon actually has basically like a kickback program where you can get, I think, about €2,000 worth of shipments and customs values back from Amazon. So it's worth looking into that if anyone is seriously considering Europe. And also, you only need 3 VAT registrations now. You used to need 7, you need 3 now. So you can just do it with, say, Germany, France, and Italy or Spain, depending on which one you feel would work best for you.
Absolutely. Any other questions, guys? I think we've covered most things. Just the final one there from Emmanuel: does grade and resell apply to advent calendars?
I imagine there's probably going to be a certain value threshold. I would say it's probably. I don't know. I don't know the exact details of it. It's only for a new program. That's the fact I can see it in my emails about the grade and resell if there's any requirements.
But only if enough lorry drivers take in EU from UK.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, absolutely. Buffering a lot tonight. As in, has it been
buffering?
Well, you could have told us that at the start, Emmanuel.
Apparently the minimum is £15. So the order must have a minimum of £15 to be eligible for grade and resell.
So unless they are super duper posh advent calendars, that will be a no.
Yeah.
Not my
probably
side.
not going to work for you.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up now anyway. So unless there's any more questions. So guys, the way I see it, give it a go. Don't rely on it. It's a bonus. It's going to take us a little while just to double check that yes, it's the name, it's the same name, but whether or not there are some big changes, obviously. But if there's anything else, we'll obviously update you through Secret Wealth Project and through Nevermind the Buy Box. If there's anything unexpected that we come across, but the main key things to remember are, it's really that limit, isn't it? It's, don't go above the €135 and just ensure that your percentages or monetary value that you're putting in onto your build international listings is covering your backside if the stock lands and sells. And then also make sure you guys set up your Euro bank accounts, because if you have started on Amazon anytime in the last 18 months, you probably haven't. When did we Brexit? I can't even remember.
1st of January 2021.
Oh, okay. So it's like a last year. If you've started selling in 2021, you've never been told to set up a Euro account. We'll definitely put some details about that on how to do it. There is, I will post them actually in the Secret Wealth Project. I just double checked that they're still okay. But I made some videos on this ages ago for the Secret Wealth Project YouTube channel. So I will post those back on there just to double check and show people how to, set up a European bank account, because it doesn't sound a lot, but Amazon's conversion rate is crap.
Yeah, it is. I think 2%, every that's a lot of money, isn't it? 2%. It doesn't sound a lot. If you're doing £1 million a year, it's an awful lot of money.
It's absolutely. Paul says, thanks for your time. I've dropped Matt a PM. Please post some information. Yeah, there you go. Please post some information about enrolling, and that would be great. Deutschland, that's how you spell it. I don't think it is, Sean. But we knew what you meant. So yeah, any other questions? Let me know. And just post them in the group. It's going to be something, like I said, people are just going to be asking questions on for quite a while. But I think we covered most of everything tonight. But anything we haven't, we'll definitely be doing refresher sessions here, there, and everywhere. So I hope you've enjoyed it tonight. Guy, I know I have. I love chewing the fat about this type of stuff. So yeah, fingers crossed you enjoyed it. And again, if you are watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, drop a comment just to say you liked it, or if you didn't, then I always get someone saying, oh, you talk too much. But yeah, so just drop us a comment, give us a thumbs up, and just let us know if you have enjoyed it. Replay should be available on YouTube. Well, I think it generally goes overnight or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Matthew, thank you so much for joining me.
No
I knew you were the right person to bring on for this, because you know your experience on this is huge. So we do really appreciate. God, it's 8:45. Oh my God,
I know, it's a mad one.
That has time.
Always a long one with us.
Yeah, no, I didn't even realize. So thank you so much, because you know Matthew does this out of the goodness of his heart. So we do really appreciate time and know how precious your time is, for sure. So I will see you guys same time next week, 7 o'clock. Have a great week, guys. Hope you liked tonight's content, and I will see you next week. Take care.
See you soon. Bye.